My name is Victor Verba. I'm what's kind of referred to over here as Variphy as one of our many CDR ninjas. And today I'm going to walk through a little bit of building a UCCX wallboard, building some general widgets that are going to show things like agent states, current states of queues, number of calls waiting, oldest calls in queue, and things of that nature. One of the nice things about Variphy is that we are a very flexible application. As Phil had mentioned, both from the CDR perspective and being able to generate things like cradle to grave, but as well as being able to show things like contact center metrics, agent metrics, how long somebody's in current states and things like that. But the other nice thing about Variphy is our dashboards and widgets are not limited to either or. In other words, I don't have to build a dashboard on just my agent stats or just build a dashboard on my queue stats. I can actually mix and match my widgets on a single dashboard. So popping into this general dashboard right here, what we're looking at are some general queue information, some general agent information. But what you'll notice down here is I also have some CDR-based information. The nice thing about that is the flexibility to be able to do that. A lot of contact center managers have folks that are not just in the contact center. They also work things that are outside of the contact center. So being able to have both your contact center metrics as well as general metrics of calls taking place with folks that are not in your contact center is an important piece of information because it's going to be able to give you the full big picture and not just specifically what's happening within your contact center. Well, the other nice things about the Variphy, again, is I talked a little bit about flexibility. Each one of these is a dashboard. So what I'm looking at here is just a general dashboard based off my contact center, as well as my CDR metrics. Each one of these is very caterable, very customizable as far as sizing, rearranging, moving around. But the other nice thing about the dashboard is it's shareable. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, I've got a great dashboard set up over here, and I need to be able to post this on a screen. Well, I don't want to have to log into that screen. I don't want to have to give somebody else access so they have to log into that screen as well. Variphy offers something what's called permalinking. Permalinking is just the ability to save a favorite. This is a static link. It is not changing. If I change my wallboards, widgets, add additional widgets to this existing wallboard, this link is going to go ahead and remain the same. So it's a nice way to be able to share general information with the call center, as well as being able to share general information with just other managers. Sometimes you have managers that just want to be able to see information when they want to be able to see it. So being able to provide them a permalink that they could save as a favorite, come back to at any given time is a great way to be able to share information. A lot of times people aren't wanting to dig through email or get regular reports. So being able to just come in and see some historical value based on a department or see how many calls are in the queue today or how many stat agents do I have available is just a great way to be able to share information and share it very quickly. One of the other nice things about the permalink is this is very sizable. So what I mean by that is this looks great on my screen right now, but how does this resonate to a large screen? What if I've got a huge display in my call center and I've got a very large room? So the nice thing about that is each one of these is scalable. So I can scale my font size down to match my room size. And then coming in our near future is you're going to have the ability to scale individual widgets. So not just the entire dashboard, but also individual widgets to be able to say, hey, you know what, I need this one to be a little bit more prominent than this one. So there's a lot of flexibility within Variphy to be able to provide this information, but also scale that information to the end users. So what I'm looking at here is just a general dashboard. Each one of these widgets was created by me to be able to represent certain information that I need to be able to see. You can have as many dashboards as you like. There is no limitation to how many dashboards you can have. Dashboards can be based off of CDR information. They could be based off of CCX information, or as I had shown here, they could be based off of a combination of both CDR and UCCX information. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and walk and talk a little bit about the ease of Variphy. So what I'm looking at here is a dashboard. I'm going to walk through how to go ahead and create a simple dashboard with some simple metrics. I'm going to show you how to copy and rearrange some of those widgets. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new dashboard, and I'll just call this guy sample here. Next thing I'm going to do is this is going to be a shareable dashboard, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on my permalinking. So that's going to bring me to this blank page here. So now I've got a blank slate to be able to create what I'm looking for. What's the purpose of this dashboard? Because the nice thing about this is the ability to have multiple dashboards is you can have multiple purposes just with your login. So let's say hypothetically, this is going to be a dashboard that I want something to be able to be on my display, something that I want my call center agents to be able to see and understand what's going on in my queues. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick my feature, which is my UCCX, and then I'm going to pick what kind of agent or what kind of widget it is I'm looking for. As you can see, we've got several different options. We've got some that are more real-time, some that are a combination of historical type information. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through. The idea behind this dashboard is, again, I want to be able to get something out to my employees. I want them to be able to see the status of my queues, see what my agents are doing. So we're going to go ahead and start off with a real-time CSQ activity widget. I'm going to pick my UCCX cluster, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'll call this CSQ sample. And again, what we're going to see here is a little bit of the ease of use of Variphy. It's as simple as being able to say, hey, you know what? I want to be able to pick my queues. These are the queues that I want to be able to see statistics on. Very easy. If I just want 1 or 2 queues, I can add 1 or 2 queues. If I need to be able to remove queues, again, simplicity behind that to be able to just get your general metrics. The next thing we do is, rather than trying to say, we're going to shoehorn you a bunch of information, some of it you can rearrange, some of it you can't rearrange, some stats will be there, some stats don't, we say, hey, what do we want to build this widget for? Well, you know what? I need to be able to see, how many calls are waiting right now? What are the total number of calls? How many agents do I have logged in? So very easily, we're just picking general metrics. So we're going to see this breakdown on a per queue basis. I'm going to see the total number of calls, the number of calls waiting. Maybe I want to see the oldest call in my queue right now in hours, minutes, seconds, or just in seconds. So right now, I'm getting a great picture of just how many calls my queues are taking, how many calls are currently waiting, what's the oldest call in the queue. Maybe I also want to be able to see how many logged in agents I have. But again, we make it very simple to be able to just pick your general metrics that you're looking for. Add those to a widget or a wallboard and save, and now we've got a very nice general widget that's going to give me all the information that I'm looking for on my queues. What are my busiest queues? How many agents do I have logged in, and things of that nature. So we really take that simplicity of being able to just pick and choose what fields are most important to you. But we can go ahead and continue to add from there. So this is a great widget right here. I'm looking at some queue information, but you know what? Maybe I need to have some alerts. If there's a certain number of calls, I need to be able to have this turn multiple colors or something of that nature. So Variphy does offer thresholding. Again, simplicity behind that is very easy to set up. All I'm going to do is edit this widget, and I'm going to go ahead and add some thresholds. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I have multiple queues in this widget right here. Do I want them all to have the same threshold, or do I just want one to have one threshold and then a different queue to have a different threshold for the number of calls waiting? So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and pick on our cars queue over here. And I'm going to say, okay, what statistic do I want a threshold on? The nice thing about Variphy is we are flexible. In other words, I've got 4 fields within my widget here that I could set different thresholds on. So if I have a certain number of agents logged in, I want that to turn a certain color, I could set a threshold on that. Same thing with calls waiting. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and add just a very general calls waiting. So I want this guy to be green when I have 0 calls in the queue. Easy enough. So maybe I want this guy to turn orange when I have between 1 and 2 calls in the queue. I'm going to continue to compound onto this expression because basically what I'm doing is I'm building my filter to draw attention to. So anything over 2 calls, I want this guy to be red. I really want it to draw attention, so I want it to be greater than or equal to 3. And now I've basically just set a very general threshold. You can see. So the nice thing about this, again, each one of these can draw attention to a certain problem. Rather than just highlighting the whole thing and saying, hey, there's a queue problem, I'm saying, hey, maybe I have a problem with calls waiting, or maybe I have a problem with the number of agents logged in. So we're very flexible, and we make it very easy to be able to pick and choose those stats that you're looking for. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is show a little bit of the real-time agent activity. So the nice thing about this is with agent activity, it's always important to know what your agents are doing for multiple reasons. One, have they been on that phone call for 15 or 20 minutes and maybe they need some assistance? Being able to have a real-time agent widget like this that's going to tell you the state that they're in and give you the reason, not just the reason code, is an important way to be able to see at a high level what's going on with your individual agents. We'll just give this guy a name. And then we pick what fields and what statuses we want. So keeping this as a simple widget, something that may be displayed on the dashboard, I want to know, the current state with the reason. Again, nice thing about Variphy is we're not just going to throw a code at you. We're not just going to say, hey, current state, not ready, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to say, hey, current state, not ready for lunch. Current state, not ready for talking. So we're actually going to go ahead and be able to provide that reason that somebody is in that state. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to say, hey, you know what? I want to know how long they've been in this state. So that's very important for multiple perspectives. One, maybe I want to know how long somebody's been talking on the phone. And if my average call is about 5 minutes, being able to see and visually identify that an agent has a problem before they come to you is a great way to be able to get ahead of issues. But also things like, who's all on lunch? Do I have 5 people on lunch? How long have they been on lunch? If they've been on lunch for 50 minutes, well, it's probably okay for me to be able to take my lunch because we expect them to be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Being able to include dialogues is going to be able to answer, be able to provide phone numbers and things of that nature, as well as being able to see the previous state that somebody was in along with the reason and maybe the previous state duration. So a lot of say, well, how is that important? Why do I need to know the previous state? Well, if somebody just got back to lunch, nice to know that because now I know who just kind of got back to lunch and things of that nature. So basically what we're doing here is we're creating just a very general widget that's going to show us all of our agent information and show us most pertinent information. The other nice thing about this widget is you have the ability to search. So widgets can be created based off of individual agents. And all we're going to do is we're going to go out to your agents and we'll pick which agents we want. I can create this based off of individual resource groups and pick a resource group. Or I can create it off of teams and pick individual teams. So the nice thing about this also is the flexibility. Let's say, for example, I have my team here, and this is part of my team. I'm an agent supervisor. But you know what? I don't necessarily need to be in this widget. We do give you the ability to compound searches. So I can say, hey, I want this entire team, but you know what? Maybe I don't want this particular agent, or I want to be able to remove myself from this particular widget. We give you the ability to go ahead and say, hey, I want it to meet this criteria, but I don't want Laura in this particular widget. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's just take a look at what we built. So essentially what we built here is just a very general, simple widget that's going to show all the information that I chose. It's going to show me anybody that's ready, not logged in, and things of that nature, not ready. But we can build onto this. You know what? I don't need to see who's logged out, how long they've been logged out. That's not super important information. So the nice thing about that is we give you the flexibility to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to see every single state. I just want to see who's logged in. Maybe I want to see who's not ready, who's ready, just people that are reserved, talking, or working. Now what we're doing is we're filtering that information to really only be able to show you the pertinent information. One of the things that I see a lot is the ability to create different widgets for different states. So the nice thing about that is that's flexible. So just looking at a general widget here, you know what, this is great. I've got my not ready folks, I've got my ready folks, but you know what, maybe I need a different widget. Maybe I want to separate this a little bit. Maybe I want to have one widget that's going to represent everybody that's not ready, along with the reason and why they're not ready, but also just another one that shows me all the people that are ready and how long they've been ready. So the nice thing about that is we do make that extremely simple. All I have to do is copy a particular widget and then edit some general filters. So all I did was make a copy of this guy. I can edit it down here and say, hey, you know what? In this one, I only want to see the not ready folks. And now I've got a general widget that's going to just show me all the not ready folks. I can size that down to show any of the pertinent information or add or exclude columns. Then maybe I want another widget. Or maybe I want to just make a copy of this one and just have it be the ready folks. So it's very easy to just go ahead, click, edit, and now I just want to be able to see who are my ready agents. So we make it very flexible to be able to see that information and flow through the entire application to be able to say, hey, now I've got the big picture. This is how many calls, this is how many agents I have logged in. But not just that, this is what my agents are doing. So I can go ahead and delete this, and now I've got a great widget that's very easy to display on a dashboard or a wallboard. I can continue to compound onto this application. I can take these widgets and say, hey, you know what, this is a good one. I want to copy it over to a different dashboard. Let me go ahead and put that on my simple dashboard and move that guy over. So now I just moved it over to a different dashboard. If I scroll down towards the bottom, you're going to see I have that same widget down here. So we make it very easy. We make it very flexible to be able to pull back information, pertinent information, share information via permalink, as well as being able to resize and adjust these just to be able to meet your needs. One of the other nice things that I want to be able to mention here is that this is great. We'll walk through some general widgets. This is a very good example of just creating something that may be displayed on a big screen. But the nice thing about having multiple dashboards is it's not solely for that big screen. So if I'm a supervisor, I'm a manager, this is great information. This is what the type of information I want my employees to be able to see on a dashboard. I want them to be able to see how many calls are in the queue, how many calls are waiting, what's the average queue time, but also what's the abandoned average queue time. In other words, are people sitting in the queue longer than the average person is abandoning a call? Because that's going to draw a problem right there. But I can also create something that's a little bit more detailed for myself, something that I don't have to share, where if I want to be able to monitor my agents in a much more statistical manner, maybe I want to be able to monitor all my queues and just really focus in on service levels. Again, these are just different types of widgets, as simple as just adding over the information that's most important to me and saying, hey, you know what, I want to build a service level metric. So I can come in, I can type in service level, and I'm going to be able to bring back all your service levels. No limitation of, oh, if I have this service level, then I can't add this one, or if I have this one, then I can't remove that one. We don't put those limitations on you guys. What we like to do is say, hey, let's build something that works for you. Let's give you the fields that are most important to you.